Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for making time to join us today, to join us on this webinar where we're going to discuss expansion into the subscription-based economy. And also we're going to highlight some of the key opportunities and challenges of implementing such a model in today's climate. And to do that, I've brought along two experts from Chargebee and Avalara to help us understand a little bit more. So first of all, from Avalara, we've got Asad Azali, and also from Chargebee, we have Ash Lomberg. So Asad, could you please introduce yourself and Avalara first?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, James. Pleasure to be here today. So myself, I've got a background in payments and retail finance, and spent the last 15 years in that kind of area with a few startups thrown in as well. For the last 4 years, I've been immersing myself in the world of cross-border commerce and tax compliance. And Avalara is a leading provider of cloud-based tax compliance solutions for businesses of all sizes.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Asad. Thanks for being here. And yeah, same to you, Ash. Please tell us about yourself, what you do at Chargebee.
Thanks, James, and thanks for being on here with us, Asad. My name is Ash Lomberg. I'm the Vice President of EMEA at Chargebee. My role is to oversee our go-to-market strategy in the European region. I've been with the company for 2 years. A little bit around Chargebee, we're the leading revenue growth management platform. We focus on subscription billing, revenue recognition, and retention modules to help support companies either launch a subscription or modernize their tech stack to enable growth.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks very much, Ash. Yeah, appreciate you both being here. So look, to start off with, keen to understand a little bit more about the current state of play for subscriptions in early 2024. You know, obviously subscriptions have been around for quite some time now, and they've become somewhat the norm in everyday life. So look, just keen to understand what trends you're seeing. What are companies looking at? How are they maximizing their potential with subscriptions? Just let us in on some of the insights that you see from your day-to-day conversations with customers. So Asad, I'm going to pose that question to you first. Please let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, the trend is growth. You know, from a consumer point of view, they're really convenient. You know, subscribing to services is a lot easier than just buying one-off products. And, you know, consumers often get personalized offers or extra benefits too. From a business perspective, subscriptions allow companies to monetize their long-term relationships, help increase loyalty and stickiness to the brand, and consequently that drives revenue. So it's really grown in popularity from both sides. From an Avalara perspective, we're seeing more and more businesses looking at software solutions to kind of help manage this growth. Businesses selling subscriptions tend to grow customer numbers more quickly, depending on what they're selling, and they can often acquire customers in different geographies more easily. And this can lead to greater complexity with compliance also.
Great. All right. Thanks, Asad. And look, Ash, same question to you. Is it similar to what you're seeing at Chargebee?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing a huge growth in the market. One of the latest statistics is that the industry itself as a whole will grow to 1.5 trillion by 2025. So a massive, massive growth in the market. And through growth comes innovation and changes. We're seeing the subscription model evolved. So traditionally, we saw a lot of the software players, as Asad mentioned, offering subscription models. That then further extended over the last few years into meal boxes, delivery subscriptions, looking into all different types of industries. And now we're starting to see a lot of the traditional players in terms of large media brands offering subscriptions to diversify their revenue and increase loyalty. We're seeing car manufacturers. One of the things that I wanted to share with the group was I'm personally looking to expand the family and we need a larger car. And I went into one of Europe's largest motor retailers, and they now sell brand new cars on subscription. The subscription also goes into a subscription bundle where they are bundling in the maintenance, the car insurance, the road tax, all in one simplified monthly fee. So what that offers is a lot of convenience for the person who's buying the subscription and a simplified model in terms of being able to track your expenses. We see a lot of growth in the direct-to-consumer market. We saw this initially with people trying to drive loyalty, but now what we're seeing as an extension into that is getting deeper insights into their existing customer base, buying behaviors, and how they can service them. And that probably goes into the last point, which is pricing experimentation. So we're seeing a lot of businesses starting to not only experiment on price levels, but also features. What's actually included in the subscription? How do you meter those entitlements in the subscription? And then how do you actually engage the customers as a new North Star metric, which is satisfying and delighting your customers and making sure they stay with you to increase lifetime value.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you, Ash, and also congratulations on your new edition. That's wonderful news. Thanks for sharing with us today. So, look, with that said, look, the advantages of the subscription model, they're really clear to see, and a lot of the audience today will already have seen them and be looking at ways of even further maximizing the advantages. On the flip side, it would be interesting to learn from your perspective about the challenges that need to be overcome when implementing such a model. So if you're new to subscriptions and you're thinking about launching it in your business for the first time, or potentially you're looking to expand it, you know, what are some of the challenges that a business would potentially face and ultimately need to plan for? So Ash, I'm going to pose that question to yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I think the very first one, and we touched on it just briefly before, is around customer expectations and experience. When someone was purchasing a one-off product, there was typically a very transactional nature in the relationship and the buyer and the seller. What we're finding now is it's moving more into a partnership model where you need to constantly delight your customer, and that it aligns essentially with the ongoing billing cycle. So there's a higher need for customer support and also innovation in your product. We're seeing a lot of demand in terms of flexibility of companies wanting to not only launch a subscription, but test and also iterate on the product offering in terms of what's included, which is the requirement for an entitlement engine. Essentially, if you think about it in a real life example, if you offer someone a subscription and you offer a certain service associated to the subscription, you might want to add on some additional benefits that might be metered. So you might get 5 additional free deliveries included in your subscription, as well as a 10% discount. So looking at ways to offer more flexibility in your pricing and product offering. We're also seeing a lot of need for automation. When we talk to a lot of our customers of why they are launching a subscription model or why they have looked to increase their subscription customer count, they are looking to automate as much of the processes and reduce all of the manual errors that come across when you do this manually. We see some of the other key challenges being time to value. Typically, there's a lot of cost up front in terms of launching a subscription model if you're looking to build a billing engine yourself. That's why we always recommend people leverage a third-party technology that's best in breed and ready to go to market. We see things around regulatory compliance, which I think Asad might touch on in his kind of take on this perspective. And then also being able to use best in breed players across the way. We need to talk to customers and integrate with existing tech stacks. So having key integrations, having systems talk to themselves also helps to align strategic growth decisions.
Brilliant. That's great. Thanks very much, Ash, and some great points you made there. So yeah, look, Asad, keen to hear your take from your side of the fence. Let us know, you know, what implementation challenges you see businesses face when growing their subscription model, particularly when they're going to, you know, other countries.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'd align with a lot of what Ash said, but absolutely there's challenges, right? So there's a number of things to consider. Your customer journey, tax compliance, accurate billing, etc., whatever it is. But as a business, you need to know your core strengths, and you need to, as Ash said, you need to find the right partners to help you fill those gaps, whether that's within recurring payments or your e-commerce platform or tax compliance. One of the problems that we see is businesses understanding the different complexities between other countries or even states within a country. As an example, if you take Georgia in the US, you'd only need 17 customers on a subscription to break the tax thresholds. but in somewhere like Texas, you could achieve up to 500,000 in revenue without being liable for any taxes. So it's about understanding what's required of you and ensuring that your implementation is based on the right information.
James, would you mind if I just interject? Because I had a question for Assad. Maybe you could share with the audience just some key insights in terms of how often tax regulation changes. Obviously, you've got some great examples of the United States, but how often a tax is changing, and how often would companies need to update their policies to be compliant?
You're taking some of my script from later on here, Ash, but it's always changing every day. So I think one of the stats we use internally at Avalara is last year, or in 2023, we updated 220,000 tax rates in the US alone, just because of the constantly and ever-changing tax rules, regulations, changing boundaries, etc. So it's always changing. It's almost impossible to kind of manage manually.
Yeah, interesting point, Assad. And that actually does lead on to the next question I was going to ask around automation. Obviously, there's automation all throughout the tech stack needed for a successful subscription model. But when it comes to selling subscriptions internationally and from the tax side of things, you alluded to the fact that there's so many rates of tax that automation is somewhat vital. Can you just tell us a little bit more about automation in general when it comes to tax?
Is that to me, James?
Yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And manual processes, they're always prone to error, right? That then leads to creating additional costs, and it's actually just not really very scalable. We see it with businesses, as I alluded to, when they're kind of trying to manually manage their tax rate tables. They're almost immediately out of date. As soon as you finish it, the next day, some part of it could be out of date, which means you could be charging the wrong amount of tax, and then your customers can be billed incorrectly, which leads to a poor customer experience. Automation in this area really does help create a more seamless experience for the customer. When you're dealing with billing and accuracy of billing, or even when you're dealing with subscription management or your customer communication and even renewals. So overall, automation is absolutely key in driving the growth in selling internationally and with subscriptions, and it increases efficiency and at the same time helps enhance that customer journey.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks very much, Assad. Now, look, you've both spoken to some of those key talking points that merchants need to consider when entering the subscription economy. Talk is cheap. So, what are some of the actions that merchants can take today to start mitigating those challenges that we've already mentioned? So, Ash, let's start with you. What actions could the audience take away from today in order to help their subscription business?
Yeah, so I have three key points to talk about. One of them is around setting the right price. I think everyone knows that you never get it right the first time. So testing and iterating and moving from value-based pricing in terms of where you think you're positioning your product and pricing through to making sure that it's aligned with the customer's goals and values. Making sure that it's measurable in terms of the impact and the ROI is critical. And also making sure that you have the right bundles set up to be able to enable your customers to see that value inside there. We see cost plus pricing, which is deciding on the cost based on the expenses. That's typically maybe a more redundant model where we see people having a higher cost up front in terms of being able to absorb all that cost and then having to recognize that revenue over time. So looking at that increased LTV model. And then also thinking about pricing from a competitive landscape. I think everyone's seen the trends in the coming years in terms of more competitors entering the market. Typically that drives prices down as the value is distributed across multiple different parties. So making sure that you're cognizant across all things in the pricing wheelhouse. The next part is around focusing on exceptional customer service. A lot of companies view revenue as a North Star metric. I think you really need to go back and start with the customer and making sure that you're surprising and delighting your customer. Not only offering a product at a set price with set features, but making sure that you take them on a journey and have a true partnership with your customers. making sure that they stay on board. So retention is obviously a key metric that we always look at, making sure that we can work with the customers to not only stay on an existing product or plan, but typically upgrade as well and increase the value. And then the last part is making sure you utilize an effective platform. So obviously Chargebee and Avalara have a tight partnership, work together mutually, but making sure that you have the right systems and tools in place to enable your growth. I think one of the things when we talk less about features and more about business outcomes is that people want to go to their job, do their job in a way that they get the most value out of. And if you can focus on your core product or what you're selling as a service, you're going to have much more job satisfaction than if you have to go through and do a lot of manual tasks in order to just operate your business. So we talk about working inside the wheelhouse rather than inside the engine room so that you can navigate from the top. So implementing third-party systems to enable your growth will allow you to focus on your product and stay in that navigating room rather than in the engine room.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Ash. Obviously, yeah, it will take some legwork and then some investment up front, but I'm sure obviously once the full automated process is in place, it's going to make life a lot easier. I said, look, I'll ask the same to you as well. Keen to get your take on this. So the question again is, what actions would you recommend to a merchant listening in today who's looking to invest in their subscription model strategy?
I think it really depends on where the merchant is on their journey. If they're just now considering launching a subscription-based business, it's all about the research. Speak to others that have done the same. Speak to partners who can help you achieve your goals. Crucially, also keep your finance and your compliance teams involved in any international selling plans from the beginning so that they can then decide the right course of action from the offset. It's absolutely much cheaper, much easier, and less hassle to be tax compliant from day one rather than having to go back and rectify any tax problems further down the line. If you are already selling subscriptions and you're unsure of potentially your tax footprint, try and still get ahead of any compliance issues. Understand whether you've perhaps triggered any tax obligations in certain countries or territories. Look at rectifying any historical compliance problems as soon as possible. And then looking forward, look at software to automate the processes going forward. It's just going to be much easier, much more efficient than a manual process.
Great stuff. And it is an interesting talking point because I guess whilst we work in the industry, we are consumers at the same time. And it got me thinking, actually, what my favorite subscription is. And I think I've probably got about 10 or 12 different subscriptions that I have. So I'm going to ask you both a question that's not on the script. I'm going to ask you what your favorite subscription is and why.
I'm constantly finding more and more subscriptions that I've got. I think the TV ones, I was talking to my wife the other day, we were trying to find a program for my daughter and, is it on Disney, Apple, Amazon, Hulu, Sky, wherever it's got. We did finally find it on Disney, but I think my favorite subscription just for me is Spotify.
Yeah, that's a good shout. And Ash, I'm going to ask this with a deeper level of detail. What's your favorite subscription and why from a subscription billing perspective, with your business head on, with your Chargebee hat on, why is it a good subscription? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to the value you can derive out of a subscription. I'd have to agree with this, Saad, that it's very hard to not love the likes of Netflix and all of the platform streaming. The reason is you typically opt in for one reason. I can say this honestly that I was with my wife the other day and we wanted to watch a season called, the name's gone. But it was a series that's actually really good. We're 3 seasons in right now. But we signed up to a subscription just to watch that one program. And then from there, we've actually explored additional different seasons that we can watch from different episodes. So I think my favorite subscription has definitely got to be the platform players. I really enjoy my bike subscription. I live in Amsterdam, and that's something that I can see a lot of value in, especially given I think the average age of a bike in Amsterdam before stolen is 2 years. So when you have a subscription there, they replace your bike if it's stolen or lost, and that happens quite frequently. I think the language learning platforms are, again, great subscriptions. Typically, they start at a couple of dollars a month, especially if you think about the value you can do. Some people use those because they're traveling abroad. Maybe they're going to Panama and they want to learn Spanish. Others might be able to buy a lifetime membership because they're just passionate about learning. So I think it's hard to put my finger on what is my absolute favorite subscription, but I can see the benefits of all subscriptions.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that's a good one for the audience today as well. Think about your favorite subscriptions, but think about it from a business perspective. Why is it good? You know, are there things in there that make it easy to reschedule your payments or continue your subscription, update and upgrade and downgrade and so on? And, you know, it sort of got me thinking about some of the subscriptions I've had in the past that have fallen by the wayside because my payment details changed, and actually the company didn't have a very good way of helping me to easily update that. And there's a well-known streaming platform that sort of I'm no longer a customer of because of that. So yeah, I think these sort of things do trigger the thoughts in your head, and hopefully you can sort of take some of those points and implement it into your own strategies. But yeah, with that said, maybe we'd have to run a poll on this next time to find out what your favorite subscription is. But really just sort of closing thoughts really, and what the insights are. We've had some really good actionable insights from today, but sort of any closing remarks or lasting bits of advice you'd like to leave the audience with today as they look to either expand their subscriptions or you know, go about beginning their subscription model?
I just saw, James, actually Nathan posted about coffee subscriptions. I recently came back from the UK. I was at a leadership summit in London, and I was blown away by the Pret subscription. Pret is a large coffee house that competes with Starbucks and alike. They started off with a coffee subscription and then extended it out to be actually a club. So actually offering it across both coffee and food. And the way that they've been able to build customer loyalty and the offering and also engage their users is absolutely incredible. So Nathan, I'm a big fan of coffee subscriptions, and I'm glad you brought that one up.
It is a great one. When I first saw that at Pret, you know, I think it's a good idea, particularly if you're, you know, working near a Pret and you're going to be there every day. You can make a few savings, and yeah, obviously it's good for them because it gives you a reason to go back day after day, and you end up buying additional things that you might not have done otherwise. But Asad, yeah, closing remarks from you. You know, the audience are here; they're listening to you and looking to understand, you know, from the points you've made already about tax compliance and selling internationally, you know, what else can you leave the audience with?
I think if you're new to the idea of offering a subscription, it's vital to have the right partners to support you with their experience and their expertise. So whether that's, you know, a consulting partner or a mix of technology partners, really getting the right support from the right people is going to be really important to being successful in the long run.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I think before I answer, I can maybe answer Peg's question. So a real life example might be the one that I just mentioned before, which is a bike subscription. So the cost of a new bike could be essentially $600 up front, but by offering a subscription of $29 a month, they're able to smooth out the cost to the buyer up front. What they add additionally is maintenance service, and if you lose or have a bike stolen, they're able to replace that. The economies of scale that they have by having hundreds of thousands of bikes also kind of align to the supply chain in terms of parts. So that might be a good example of a large fixed cost up front and being able to spread that out. I think the other additional part is they offer a tech platform as well. So e-bikes are becoming very common, and being able to lock your bike remotely from your phone, turn it on, being able to set off the alarm if someone comes nearby is also a way of fixing technology with physical goods.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks very much. Well, I think we're coming towards the end of our conversation today. There's a lot more we could go into detail about. So look, all of you out there, if you're keen to learn a bit more, obviously we're going to send some information out after today's webinar. Feel free to get in contact with us to have the conversation with Ash and his team about Chargebee and how they can help, and of course Asad and his team in terms of how to build out a strategy when it comes to tax when selling internationally.
James, if I can jump in, maybe I can answer Margie's question.
Sure. Oh, great. Yeah, go for it.
Margie, e-learning is a massive category in terms of subscriptions, and this is probably one of the best examples of where it forces a company to innovate and provide new product services and offerings. It's very common to have courses on a monthly or quarterly subscription, but that means that in order to retain those customers, they need to come up with a more compelling offer and extended learning. So there's a lot of great use cases in terms of e-learning companies introducing subscription models and enhancing those subscription models.
Great, good spot, Ash. I didn't see those questions popping in at the bottom there. So yeah, Margie, I hope that helps. And Ivan, yeah, we'll send you the details after the event. Any other questions? We've got a few more moments that we've got Ash and Asad available to us. But, yeah, thanks very much, Margie. So yeah, look, we'll have more information that will come out after this. We're obviously around and keen to help however we can. And in case you're wondering, my favorite subscription is actually dog food. So it means I don't forget, and it's my dog's favorite subscription ultimately. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to hopefully speaking with you in the near future, and yeah, good luck with your subscription model.
Thanks, everyone. If anyone wants to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn, Ash Lomberg. I'm the only one of my name. Happy to have a chat with you and see if there's any way we can support you from a Chargebee perspective.
Yeah, similarly, there's not many Asad Azalis out there on LinkedIn, so feel free to ping me on there. And again, thank you, Ash, James. Really appreciate you having me on the panel today.
Likewise.
Yeah, thanks, James. Thanks, Asad.
Bye.